How exactly do you start a journey of 4,000 miles? 4,408 miles to be exact. How do you start it? You start it like everything else, mile by mile. After months of logistical planning and several weeks doing everything from basic maintenance to replacing tires on the Jeep, we were finally ready to drive the first miles towards Colorado. For the first 3 days, we focused primarily just on driving. We'd scheduled to drive over 1,600 miles in those days to reach our first stop, which would actually be in northern New Mexico near Grants. Yeah, we're well aware that technically you could drive straight out there in a little over a day straight. But the last time I tried that, I was 30 years younger and my brother and I were driving out for college. So this time we decided we'd take it a little easier and focus on trying to get about 8 hours in a day. If you've never actually driven from Ohio out to New Mexico and Colorado, there's a really good reason they call a lot of that space the flyover states. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of beautiful, open, vast, epic spaces in places like Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, Iowa, Illinois. But I'll tell you this, once you've driven them 8 or 10 times, after a while, most of them start looking all the same. If you ever do get the opportunity to drive cross-country across the United States, make sure you do at least what we did. Or even better, drive only 4 or 6 hours a day so that you can stop and enjoy places like this. This is Fairbanks Park in Terre Haute, Indiana. I had no idea where we were going to stop and eat lunch that first full day on the road. I didn't know how far we'd make it. And so when we got close to lunch, I went and I looked on Google, which is a great resource for finding little gems like this. Later that day, we were grateful to have driven far enough to make it to a place that we recognized. This particular area is located only a few miles off of I-70, but has several small, free campgrounds along water access points. If you're wondering where you can find information on small, free camping areas like this, the resource that we have found most useful is iOverlander. There are also several other online resources available if you do a Google search for free camping. But just keep in mind that even though somebody has reported that camping is free or low-cost availability in a certain area, make sure to do your own research. Regulations on public lands like this can often change, so just make sure to do your homework. Also, make sure that you leave those public lands better than you found them, so others for more years to come can enjoy them. Our second full-day drive found us at the Tallgrass Prairie National Preserve around lunchtime. Tallgrass Prairie is free and includes over 11,000 acres, including several historic buildings to be explored. The Spring Hill Farm, which was primarily built out of limestone in the early 1880s, is within easy walking distance of the parking lot and visitor center. The park has an online audio tour if you're interested in learning more about the Spring Hill Farm. This particular audio tour includes places like this barn, the mansion house, the curing house, the ice house, the spring house, and even the outhouse. The Tallgrass Prairie also has many miles of trails. We decided to stay long enough to enjoy the 3-mile Southwind Nature Trail. Rue was especially grateful to get out of that Jeep and take a nice long walk. Well, and it didn't hurt our humans any either. One of the highlights of this trail was seeing the buffalo herd lounging on the hill. You could never really get close to them, but it was still worth the view. If you do decide to stop and enjoy some of the trails in this area, keep in mind that it can get very hot very quickly. Make sure to take some water with you. Although you can find the occasional shade, this particular treat area was one of the very few spaces we found that. Another highlight of this particular trail is visiting the Lower Fox Creek School. This one-room schoolhouse was built in 1882. This school generally served less than 20 students every year and operated until 1930. By the time we finished our hike and got back on the road, we noticed the temperature. Thankfully, we discovered around 4 hours up the road a beautiful place to stop and camp for the night. This is Archelon Park, or, well, that's what it's referred to in certain places. I don't remember what they called themselves. This was a small, scenic, pleasant campground where for $5 in cash, you could choose your own primitive site for the evening and even enjoy the hot showers. Thankfully, that 102 degrees didn't last awfully long, and by the next morning we were driving out, saying goodbye to the cows in the temperate morning. This campground was the last significant stop we made on our 3-day drive out towards New Mexico. So I hope you'll join us, once Rue wakes up, of course. Come and join us on our next adventure. The problem of base camping, isn't it?
There it is.
Wow! Show it to the camera, please.
Oh,
that's massive.
That's not good. You know why?
Why? That doesn't seem like it's a snow. That's
It's
part of the
part
rotor.
of the brake pad.
Oh my gosh!
Want to go to town?